and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be about how I use the Alastair method. Now this is something that I've been using kind of off and on for a while, and I do try and link the tutorial article that Alastair Johnston, the guy who actually invented this, did for the Bullet Journal blog. However, I thought I would just do a quick video for those of you who are still kind of curious about how it works and maybe don't know how to adapt it to what you actually need in your bullet journal. So I'm going to show you sort of how it originally was designed to be used, and I'm also going to show you how I have personally adapted it for my bullet journal. So let's get started. Okay, so I've just grabbed a spare pad of paper to show you guys. So if you guys have not heard of the Alastair method yet, this was originally designed as an alternative to the future log. And the way that it works is actually super simple, which is one of the reasons why I really like it. Essentially, you say, so pretend I'm going to do this for my future log. You basically would draw a line at the top of your paper, and you would decide, okay, currently we are in, say, November, so I'm going to say I start it in December. So I would say, for example, D for December, J for January, F for February, M for March, and you can do this for as many as you want. I'm just going to pick 4 for a start. So the way that you would go about filling this in is that you would say, okay, for example, I know that I have to, I don't know, my birthday is in January, so I would write down, for example, to the right of my columns, I would write down 29th, my birthday, for example. Okay, and then I would say, all right, which month does it go into? It goes in January, so I do a dot under the January column. So that might be a little bit easier to see. Then I would say, okay, let's say, all right, the 25th is Christmas. So I would do a dot under December. And I have my school holidays from the 22nd until the 7th of January, and I would write down holidays. And I would do, for example, I personally would probably do this for both. Okay, so you kind of get the idea where essentially you list any future tasks that you have in any particular order whenever they actually come up in your life. And you would then sort them based on the month that they happen in using this left column here. So that as you're going through, for example, and you're setting up December, you would go through anything that's in this far left column here and so on and so forth, so that you can essentially save space. This is kind of an alternative for people who maybe don't have enough tasks to actually do the traditional future log, which would give you, imagine you split your page, you've got your full spread here, you split your page in half, and then you split it into 3 months. Imagine you don't have enough tasks to fill up something like this. The Alastair method is a way to still keep track of those tasks, but in much less space. Okay, so this is the way that the Alastair method was originally kind of designed. It was used originally as a way to future plan. Now, if you want to read more in depth on this, I am going to link the article because obviously the explanation coming from the guy who invented it is going to be much better than my own. But there have been people, and there are different ways of adapting this method if, for example, you don't use this for your future log. So I personally, you guys know, I use a combination of the Calendex method and the traditional future log. I actually don't use the Alastair method for future planning. However, I do use it for other things. So this is my collection bullet journal, which some of you guys might recognize, and I do use the Alastair method in here for my master list of meals. So this was a collection that Tiny Ray of Sunshine first did, so you actually can see down at the bottom, I have her credit is Tiny Ray of Sunshine, and she started using the Alastair method as a way of essentially listing the meals that she likes to cook. So I've done this with my own. I list the meals that I like, and then I put them under the different categories. So I originally started with breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack, and I honestly don't really make a difference between breakfast, lunch, and dinner at times. So I put them under categories, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only thing that I do them for. So I actually started a second column over here where I have listed eggs, meat, vegetable, fruit, and pastry or bread. And so, for example, I've listed kimchi fried rice, which goes under eggs and vegetable. I could probably go under meat as well, but So I've since adapted this for my own uses to go by what exactly is in it. Now you'll notice that I don't actually have very much on this side. I started doing this as a way of keeping track of meals and I kind of fell off the wagon with it. I might go back to doing this again in the future, but one of the things that I really like is if I do go back and do this, I will use the Alastair method because it's a way of just listing everything down here and not having to worry about putting it in the correct category and then categorizing it after the fact using the columns off here to the left. So that is one of the ways that I use it. The other way is actually in my bullet journal. So the reason that I've been getting more questions about the Alastair method is because I use the Alastair method on my weekly. So you'll see here that I actually have, essentially instead of a traditional task list, I have an Alastair method task list where I've got 3 different categories. So this is job, personal, and social media. And I then drop anything that's in my task list down here to the right of these columns, and I then fill it in based on what it actually goes to. So this is a way for me to, so let's see, do I actually have one of my old ones? Yes. So for example, in my old weeklies, I used to have different sections. So for example, for work, and for like general things to do, and within these 2 things to do, I would separate into like general personal stuff and sort of social media stuff. So I used to have different task list categories for the different tasks that I do. But when I moved back to my one-page weekly, I wanted to put all of those different tasks in one place so that I wouldn't have to look different places, but still have a way to categorize them so that I know what falls into which category. Because, for example, things that are work-related are generally of a somewhat higher priority than things that are personal, which is then of a higher priority than things that are social media related. So that's kind of the way that I've set them up. It doesn't always work out that way. There are certain individual tasks in each category that might be a higher or a lower priority, but in general, you know, work, personal, and social media is sort of the order of operations, if you will, the order of priority for the tasks that I have. So this was the way that I sort of adapted the Alastair method to use for myself. I'm sure that I'm not the first person to do this. I know there are some people that have, I think it's the running task list, and I can't remember, it might be Blue LAHE that started this, I'm not sure, on Instagram, where people will do the task list where they have a running list and then do it based on the days of the week. I personally don't actually entirely understand how that one works. I don't actually use that one, but there are different iterations out there that use sort of a brain dump and then categorizing in columns to the left system, if that makes sense. So these are just a couple of possibilities, you know, using it as a future log, which is the way it was kind of originally intended, using it for specific collections, things like recipes where you want to dump everything in one place and then categorizing them, or using them for tasks in your weekly or in your monthly that you then want to categorize. Those are kind of the 3 ways that I have seen, well, 1 way that I have seen and 2 ways that I personally use the Alastair method in my own bullet journal, but I'm sure that there's a ton of other ways out there. If any of you do use the Alastair method for something other than those 3 particular uses, could you drop it in the comment section so that people who maybe are new to the system can get some inspiration for other ways of using this particular organizational system. Also, please, I recommend that you guys check out the tutorial that is on the bullet journal website that was written by Alastair Johnson about his own method to go kind of more in depth. I read it a while ago when I first started, and I've since kind of adapted it the way that I find it useful, but I'm sure that I'm missing some aspects of it, or maybe it would explain it a little bit better, or what have you. But this is just kind of a quick video to show you how I actually make use of the Alastair method in my own bullet journal. So just a quick video today about kind of the Alastair method, since I've gotten a few questions over the past couple of months about how I personally use it. If you guys have any other comments or questions, please leave them down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Hey guys, so if you've made it all the way to the end of this video and are actually watching my end screen and you're not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would. There's a little button right there for you to do it. And if you're interested in watching some more of my videos, I have links to 2 of my older videos off to the left there, so you can check those out if you would like to, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!